All right, welcome back to a new episode of Didn't Wait. I actually been on a break for a while, and it's been a couple months since I've really been recording and all that. But to get started back, I got a buddy on here. I know I see him sometimes in different lounges, and I'm starting to see him here at Host Together. To me, he's kind of a legend around here.
My wanted poster is up in every post office.
I see it. Yes, sir. And I'm excited about this conversation because I don't think I've ever got a chance to sit there and really have a conversation with you yet. See you other places and things like that. But I want to say Doc Johnson, but your first name is James, right?
First name is James.
Yeah. So
some people call me Doc. Some people call me Dr. J.
I like that.
If I'm talking to a young lady, I tell them they can call me James, they can call me Doc, they can call me Friday night.
Yes, sir. I know you. About a lot of people I know you call you Doc. That's funny. I like that. Call me Friday. On to the show. Dr. James Johnson. How you doing today?
Man, I'm fine, working on a dandy. I just stole second, and I'm looking at third.
I heard that. Well, like I said, I'm looking forward to this conversation with you because I don't think I've ever got to sit down and have a smoke with you and get to know you a little bit. So I'm going to start off with something easy.
Okay.
Where you from?
Stanton, Texas.
Home
of 2,000 friendly people and a few old soreheads.
Oh, wow.
And that's what it says on the welcome sign when you drive in.
So, living in Texas. That's cool. I mean, see what you had on like that. Yeah, I can see that you're from Texas. You don't look like somebody from Tennessee. Like, got that aura about you.
I haven't worn a hat and boots all my life.
Mm-hmm.
I started when I was 5.
5?
5.
Okay. To me, that's all your life. Hey, I guess being from Texas, you start a little younger than that, right?
I guess so.
I like that. So, living in Texas, tell me something interesting to start off as a kid. What were you like as a kid?
I was rambunctious, very hyperactive. When I was 4, my mom took me to the doctor. Now, I don't remember this, but she told this story my entire life. I had 2 brothers and sisters, so my wife knew about kids.
Mm-hmm.
But when I was 4, she took me to the doctor and said, "Fix this kid or give me something." And they didn't know a lot about manic, depressive type things back in that day.
Mm-hmm.
So the doctor talked to me a little bit and told my mother, "Try giving him coffee." And my mom said, "Are you crazy? This kid is wired. He's 24/7. He never sleeps. He's bouncing off the walls. He's driving us nuts. Give him coffee." And the doctor said, "Well, to be honest with you, we'll find that kids that are kind of hyperactive like this, coffee actually caffeine sedates." So I started drinking coffee when I was 4 years old.
Wow.
And I was that kind of kid. Grew up in Stanton, which honestly was a Mayberry town. It had about 1,500 people, rural, out in West Texas. You honestly knew every person in town and the name of their dog. And it was a place where, you could wake up in the morning, go to school, walk back from school, walk into town. In the summertime, man, you left the house when you woke up, you didn't come back till suppertime, and you could just go over town. Everybody knew you, everybody took care of you.
Yes, sir. So, where's that at? What big city? Is it San Antonio?
No, it is west. They call it the Permian Basin. It's near the Midland, Odessa area.
Okay.
So it was right between Midland and Big Spring. Big Spring is an interesting town itself.
Okay.
Because in Texas, everybody knows what a steer is. A steer is a bull that's been castrated. The name of the mascot at the Big Spring High School was the Steers and the Lady Steers.
Oh, okay.
Now, what's a Lady Steer? And that name is still there today.
Yeah, I don't know if I would think.
That's crazy, isn't it? But anyway, that was in Big Spring. Little town Stanton was right there.
So in high school, did you play sports?
I did. I played a lot of tennis. I ran track, and I played baseball, which was interesting because baseball and tennis were kind of overlapping in the same season.
Mm-hmm.
So, did a little bit of both.
See, I guess that's why you don't assume, because you are a tall, big man. I think you play football. Like, remember?
I did. Not as much as I did baseball, but I did play some football, safety, and wide receiver.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know if you told me this or overheard. You were an umpire in baseball, right?
I was for 13 years. I umpired. I was NCAA Division I. My home conference was. I'll age myself. My first 2 years in college Division I baseball, I was with the Southwest Conference,
Okay.
Which were all Texas schools plus Arkansas. And then those were the last 2 years of that conference, and then I moved into the Big 12. Also called some in the WAC, called some in the hot Texas Conference, which is the D3 conference. So, yeah.
Okay. And how do you get into being an umpire? Like, you just wake up one day and say, "This is what I'm going to do," or you just had an opportunity to just jump into it?
For me, I read a book on one of the gentlemen that was in the Nixon administration that was involved in Watergate.
Mm-hmm.
I read a book about him. He's a weird guy, but he had a fear as a kid. He was deathly afraid of rats and mice.
Rats?
And
I share that saying.
so there was a rat in his house,
Mm-hmm.
and every time he'd see it, he just panicked. So he read something about facing and defeating your fears.
Mm-hmm.
So he caught the rat and then ate it to never be afraid of rats again. Well, I had a hard time accepting criticism. Okay? So I thought, how can I eat this rat? So I figured I love baseball. Kind of always thought about umpiring a little bit. But I thought, that is something you do. No matter what you do, half the people are going to hate you. Whatever call you make, half the crowd is not going to like that call.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to get criticized. And you're going to face criticism. So I actually did this kind of self-therapy to get better at handling criticism.
Okay.
And then I just fell in love with it. And it became like a passion.
So how did that help, outside of like loving it and coming to passion, how did that help with criticism? How did that help you with you becoming the man that you are today?
Getting used to it, for one thing.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing was a lot of how to diffuse anger, particularly when you had a coach coming out that was, out of control in your face.
Mm-hmm.
And being able to diffuse anger taught me a lot. Diffusing anger.
Yeah, so diffusing anger and things like that. Like, how do you, what's the go-to to diffuse? Because I know, like, maybe you have to be, I guess you have to be in the right mindset, because if some angry man is coming to you, you kind of have to be, like, very calm.
Yeah, and it was kind of a dual thing, because I was also doing law enforcement. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of those skills kind of helped one another, because you have to be able to diffuse anger in both of those situations.
Yes, sir.
So a lot of it, and by the way, I also was a college professor for most of a lot of my career. That's what I taught, was interpersonal communication. So a lot of that also I taught that. I taught it in the university classroom. I also taught it to other law enforcement officers across the state of Texas. And a lot of it is your what they call body language. Actions called kinesics. Body language. That's the start. When someone comes out and they're angry, is your body language. Mm-hmm. Not being assertive, but being confident, controlling the situation rather than letting the situation control you. So it starts kind of there.
Okay, that's cool. I like that a lot. Because I remember you said that you were an umpire, and I wanted to talk about that. And, there's a lot of things I want to get to talking about, because I have a lot of stories, but I actually want to transition to cigars.
Yeah.
That's where we're connected from, and I've seen you passing, not only here but Cynic City and things like that. How did you get to smoking cigars?
I actually first started smoking the pipe,
okay,
and transitioned into cigars. But now my first cigar, senior in high school, my parents were anti-smoke.
Mm-hmm.
I was a rebel. My dad was a preacher, and I was a stereotypical preacher's kid. I'm like my two brothers. I was straight and narrow. And we'll get to the cigars. Tell me about my teenage years.
Mm-hmm.
My first car was a 1968 Mustang.
Oh, wow.
And for those of you who are in my generation that are watching, I had glass pack mufflers called cherry bombs. Drew about the side of the car. You could hear me coming a half mile away. I made sure you did. And I had a bumper sticker on the back that said, "Don't laugh. Your daughter may be in here."
Oh, wow. I like that.
So that's kind of, so being the rebel, my best friend in high school, he and I decided we were going to smoke cigars.
Mm-hmm.
So we went to the supermarket, bought a little box of Antonio and Cleopatra Grenadiers,
Wow.
plastic green tip on them, and we thought we were, high end the saddle. And so we snuck in off of our double date that night, Saturday night. Came in, went to my driveway, we lit those things up.
Mm-hmm.
The next morning, my dad comes in to wake me up, getting ready to go to church. He said, "Hey," we thought we got away with it because Mom and Dad were sleeping. He comes and wakes me up and he goes, "Hey, before you go to church, clean up those cigars you boys left in the front yard." That was my first one, but I got to college, and all the guys in the dorm, you could smoke in the dorms in those days, they were smoking pipes.
Mm-hmm.
And we thought, man, that's cool. Started smoking a pipe, and then got married, and got offered a part-time job working in the Colonel's pipe and cigar store in San Angelo, Texas.
Wow.
So he taught me all about pipes, and that became a hobby. And also, I started smoking cigars there too. Over the course of it, became a hobby. I started reading everything about them. I didn't smoke that many, couldn't afford them, but I loved the hobby, studying about it, and reading about it. And pretty much started looking into the history of cigars, the etiquette. A lot of the etiquette from smoking comes from Europe, a lot of it from England.
Mm-hmm.
I started studying all about aficionado and how aficionado smoke cigars,
Mm-hmm.
and aficionado in pipes smoke pipes. So that's how I kind of got started into it. And along the way, I was part owner of a cigar lounge for a while, and so it's been around it a lot.
So, I heard that you are friends with the Padron family.
Yes, I am.
You are smoking Padron. I love them sticks, man.
Yeah, Padron was actually my favorite cigar for a long time before I met the Padron family. Mm-hmm. And the way that came about, my mentor, my man by the name of Jerry Panis, one of my best friends and my mentor, older than I am, we lost him about 5 years ago. But he was best friends with Jose Padron. He was one of Jose Padron's very first customers when he opened up his shop in Miami. And I met Jose through my mentor, and that was some years ago. And I'm also an avid quail hunter, and I had a client that was in conservation, and a lot of what they did was with the quail. And I found out that Jose's son, Jorge George, who took over the company, was also an avid quail hunter. So guess what happened?
Okay.
We became friends.
That's cool. That's really cool. So, hunting quail. How was? Did you got to get up early for that? Is that like hunting deer and stuff like that?
No,
I'm not. I don't know too much about the hunting. So.
yeah, no. Quail hunting. It's not a migratory bird. You can hunt any time of the day. It's good. The season fluctuates, but mainly it's from October 1 to April 1.
Okay.
So that's the season for quail hunting. And don't do it. I mean, you can even do it in the sheriff. We have lots of people that do.
Wow.
But don't do it because it will become addictive.
Mm.
So.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if I would do it. I think it'd be fun if I had the opportunity to do it, but I don't know. Living in the South, I'm from Maryland, so
We'll work on that, brother.
yeah. Now, I'm not against it. Now, some things I'm against, but hunting, I wouldn't mind hunting. I know back when I first started doing podcasts, I talked to a lady, her and her husband. They customized wheelchairs. Her dad, before he got hurt, used to go hunting things and camping and things like that. So she started doing that for him, so he can get out there and hunting. So I know it can be done, and Um, I enjoy those type of conversations. I just never personally had the opportunity to get out and hunt and do things.
So people ask me what I like best about quail hunting, and there is no one thing. There are like four things that I like all of them. Number one, so I'm gonna list them, but this is not in order because we're on number one. But number one on that, what I'd start with is I love watching the dogs work. That is phenomenal. And many times when I go on hunts that are like multi-day hunts, I'll have hunters that one day they don't even carry a gun; they just want to watch the dogs.
Oh wow, okay.
So watching the dogs work is phenomenal. The other thing is just being out in the nature. I mean, I go to church, but I'm gonna tell you something. Not the brick walls I walk into on Sunday. It's walking out of that quail patch, particularly in South Georgia, and pine forest, and around pine forest, blue skies, fall, winter days, just being out there. It's good. The other thing is the fellowship. Because unlike deer hunting, you're usually out there with 2 to 4 guys hunting and trash talking, fellowshipping, bonding out there like that. And then the fourth thing I like about it is you get to shoot a gun. So that's my favorite things. The dog work is, people don't understand that. I have a champion dog. Okay. And his name is Bo.
His name what?
Bo.
Bo. Okay.
It's real name. I named him Bolivar.
Okay.
Cuban cigar. And I call him Bo. He's pedigreed, so on pedigree papers you have to list strain names. You have to get like 4 to 6 names.
Wow.
With pedigree. So when I got Bo, my 3 granddaughters were ages 8, 6, and 4. So I let each one of them give him a name for his pedigree. The 8-year-old was into rock and roll music, so she named him Axel.
Oh, cool.
So I go with that. Bolivar, Axel, like that. 6-year-old was into Harry Potter. She names him Lemon Drop. Okay. Now the 4-year-old, Miss Davin, 4 years old going on 24.
Wow.
And little blonde, short, blonde curly hair, looks like my daughter, beautiful little girl. My daughter Angela says, Davin, do you have a name for Papa Jay's dog? I mean, this is serious. This is permanent. I need to think about this. A couple of days go by and I'm talking to Angela on the phone. And I just said, hey, by the way, does Davin have a name for Mom? She said, Daddy, you have no idea how seriously she is taking this. And I said, well, see if you edge her on because I want to get this turned in by the end of the week.
Yeah.
2 days later, Angela calls me and says, well, Davin came to the breakfast table today and announced that she had a name for your dog. I said, oh, cool. She said, she walked in and she sat down. She said, I have a name for Papa Jay's dog. I have meditated on this now for 5 days. She said, last night I prayed about it in my prayer. And this morning God gave me the name.
Wow.
Fluffy. So Bo, like I said, is a champion dog. All hunting dogs, and I'll say you got all the hunting dogs. They all do vocal commands, hunting commands. Come, go forward, come, turn back around, stop. They all know those. They're about this many now. Out of that many hunting dogs that know those signals, now you got this many who do vocal and whistle. Well, Bo does vocal and whistle, and then you cut that down to about that many. They do vocal, whistle, and hand signals. Well, Bo does all 3 of those. To be a smart aleck, I cross-trained him in Spanish. and I don't tell my hunters that. And I put him down, and I start giving him commands in Spanish. And look and say, I'll say the same thing. They come to me and go, your dog speaks Spanish? And I said, well, I haven't heard him lately.
Yes, sir. I heard that. So you talked about your grandkids. Is it just 3 of them?
3 grand angels.
Okay. So let me talk about James Johnson as a family man. When were you married? Because I've seen you come in here with your wife a couple times.
We just last week celebrated our 46th anniversary.
Congratulations.
Lisa is a stereotypical Southern belle. Beautiful blonde hair, big blue eyes, raised on a ranch in farm in Texas. And, 46 years.
Wow.
She, in my opinion, was very classy, and she is. That's what I wanted. So for me to make it 46 years with her, I've had to do a lot of giving. She has had to do a lot of forgiving.
Yeah. I like that a lot. So just being married, having kids, like, how has that changed your life?
And I tell you, I have a boy and a girl.
Okay.
And people ask me, when I'm working, I may have some work to do. And I'm looking at my desk, and man, I don't feel like doing that. I don't want to do that. I'll do that later. And I'm tired of this. I'm bored. And something happened to change that. People would ask me right now, James, who do you work for? And I'll say, I work for Jocelyn, Callan, and Davin. Park Bench Fundraiser pays my salary. Who do I work for? I work for my family, and I work for God.
Yes, sir.
And that's what I work for.
Yes, sir.
And it's, that's what I can say when you ask me about family. That's what I work for.
I like that a lot.
And that's what I live for.
Yes, sir. That's a good thing to live for.
And you know what, Lucas, you have that attitude. When I'm coaching and mentoring young professionals, I just got to do that recently at University of Chattanooga.
Okay.
I'm looking at that paper that I'm not wanting to work on. I've got this project. I don't feel like doing it. But I start to remember, you know what, I'm not doing that for my client. I'm doing that for my family. You know what? Now I feel like doing it.
Yes, sir. The more important thing than putting things in perspective. Like, yeah, you work for them. Like, yeah, it's not the client that you work for. You're not doing it for them, but you're doing it for your family. And it makes things easier. It makes you get out there. And I like that lighter, by the way. That's a cool lighter. Is that the one that does it make a noise?
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Can I tell you the story about the lighter?
Yes, sir.
So it is an STP pond. It's a very expensive lighter. I think this one right now is going for around $1,500. I would never pay that for a lighter. That's not who I am.
Yeah.
My parents died not very long ago, and so my son and I, we took part of the inheritance. And I said, we're gonna buy something. Every time we get into this person, we're gonna buy something that we would not typically buy for ourselves. It's got to be something quality. It's got to be something we'll use, and it will help us remember grandmother and granddad. First thing we bought were new shotguns. Not real expensive, but nice. Every time we pull those out in the coil field now, we think of my mom and dad.
Yes, sir.
These lighters, we got this with the second disbursement, and so every time we hear the, we think of my mom and dad.
Yes, sir.
So that's the story behind the lighter.
That's cool. I like that a lot. Getting something that you like, but also it helps you remember your people.
Yes.
I like that a lot. You talked about church and everything like that. You talked about your dad was a preacher.
Yes.
Are you a preacher too? I feel like you have that vibe to you.
Yes, I was. Interesting story. I never wanted to be a preacher. And I had a gift of public speaking. I won many national awards in college and high school in public speaking and debate. I coached it, I taught it. But never wanted to be a preacher. And went to school. My first year, we were living in San Angelo. I went to Lubbock Christian, at that time college, not university, and had to take Bible, and took it, and came home after the first year, back home during the summer. I intended to lay on the couch and spend evenings with my girlfriend, And my dad had other plans. No, you're not doing that. You're working. So my mom put me to work, fixing up her rent houses.
Okay.
So I'm out in the middle of summer, in the middle of San Angelo, Texas, middle of Texas, in the summer. It is hot. It is dry. It is windy. It is hot. And I'm out there scraping paint off of a red house. My dad comes up to me, drives up and says, hey, I just got a call from one of his very dear friends who's a minister. So there's a small church, about 30 members up in North Texas, looking for a young man to come work with them for this summer. He thought you'd be the guy. So I thought about that, and I looked at that red house, and I knew that I had received my call to preach. So I loaded up the Mustang, moved to the Church Street Church of Christ in Raleigh, Texas.
Okay.
Lucas, I was a senior pastor. I was 19. I was a senior pastor.
Wow.
I was a youth minister. I was the janitor. That was it.
Wow.
Did that for about 3 or 4 months. Went back home for my first visit. Mom had my favorite supper fixed. After supper, my dad looked at me and said, would you like to go to my study for coffee? And I said, my dad I cherished because I was the only one of the 4 kids that drank coffee.
Yeah.
So you go to study it. Here, the question came that I've been waiting for. Son, how is your work going? I've been waiting for that. I said, Dad, you would not believe what all this happening at the Church of Christ down in Texas since I arrived. Dad, the church is growing. We've gone from 30 members now. Sundays we're already up to like 40, 45. Didn't tell him that most of those were junior high girls. I was on the team. I said, Dad, we're having baptisms. I've got youth studies going. I've got Bible studies going in 3 different homes. We've got a lunch study going on Thursday at noon. People are coming to that. Dad, they're hearing sermons preached like they've never heard before. That was true in a lot of ways. And I just kept going, what was happening there? All the good things were happening. I was rapid firing it. My dad never said a word. He just kept peering at me over his glasses. So I drinking his coffee. When I finally finished, Dad looked at me and goes, have you preached on the story of Jonah lately? No, Dad, I haven't. I said, do you know the story of Jonah? I said, of course, Dad. Do you recall the miracle of that story? I said, miracle? I don't think Dad would be talking about the worm eating the vine. I said, well, Dad, I said something like, I'm not sure that what you're referencing is actually a miracle, but you're probably thinking of the rhetorical contrasting and comparison of the analogy that would be set forth with Jesus being, with Jonah being in the belly of the whale for 3 days and 3 nights, and Jesus being in the grave for 3 days and 3 nights. Dad looked at me and said, no, son, the real miracle of that story is how that fish can stomach a young preacher for 3 days and 3 nights. So anyway, I went back to LCU and got my degrees in communication.
Okay.
Did get a minor in Bible, New Testament. But I went into radio work. And I got a job to move back to Lubbock from Albany. I was there at Albany for a year and a half, not 3 months. And I was going to be DJ at the #1 pop rock station in Lubbock.
Okay.
And I moved there a week early to get settled, find an apartment, moved in with Mom and Dad. And right like 3 or 4 days before I was supposed to start work, there's a knock on the door one Wednesday night, and it was the elders from one of the churches in Lubbock, the larger than the University Church of Christ. They walked in, so I figured they wanted to talk to Dad, and he said, no, we want to talk to James. So we just fired our preacher tonight. We'd like for you to be our preacher.
Okay.
And I thought about that and said, okay. Called KSEL, said I'd stay with them. You know, I got a job, but I would stay with them until they found a replacement. Preached there, got married, got offered another job at a church in San Angelo. I was still working on a master's degree and then my PhD, and then I moved to Muleshoe, Texas, preaching there and assistant manager at the mom and pop radio station. KMUL, Muleshoe, Texas. Town of about 5,000 people, but they had a market area with all the ranches around to about 15,000.
Okay.
So I would come on every Monday through Friday at 10 o'clock. Yeah, it's 10 o'clock. You're on the mule train, calling your items to sell, trade, or barter. You're on the mule train. Yeah! And they did. I still did not want to be a preacher. I liked preaching, but that was not what I wanted to do. But long story short, everywhere I went, people would call me, hey, we just fired a preacher. Would you fill in until we hire one? And that they kept looking for 5 years. I moved again. Now I'm out of preaching. Preacher got sick, went in the hospital, had to quit preaching. I'm filling in for him for 2 years. Mm-hmm. It was like every time I went to do something else, when I was teaching college full time, I was preaching. When I became a university president, I thought my preaching was over. But I was president of a faith-based school. Yeah. And I was on church on Sundays. I was visiting churches. I preached 52 Sundays in a year. I preached 48. Wow. The next year I preached 41. The next year I preached in 41 different churches. Mm. Now the good thing about that, I only had to have 2 sermons.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
So it was like I never intended to be a preacher. Mm-hmm. It was like I never could get out of it. But I was always doing it while I did other things. So.
I get that. Talk to me about the...
I will say this about preaching.
Okay.
I believe, and I may be wrong on this, but I believe it was Thomas Aquinas that said there are many good sermons. Some of them even have words. Mm. So that's the kind of preaching I believe in.
Okay. I like that. So you said that you were president of the university. So how did that become?
That's another thing that I tell young professionals. Set goals. Never let your goals become obsessions.
Okay.
I learned that the hard way. Mm-hmm. I had an obsession when I got my PhD. I was 29 years old. I was the youngest person to get that degree in that area at Texas Tech. I also got faster than anyone ever got at Texas Tech. My obsession was to become a university president. And I had another academic mentor that said some advice about doing it. So I got jobs. I worked in almost every area of the university. So I knew how the university worked in every area. And I thought that would groom me to be a president. And I interviewed at my alma mater. I was young. Got in the Final Four and got cut. My academic mentor took me to lunch and said, I want to tell you what happened. No one had one negative thing to say about it. But you got cut because someone thought you were a little too young. Mm-hmm. But James, you seem to understand fundraising. But we have to have someone that has deep experience in fundraising. I did not. I thought I knew it well. I did not. I took a sabbatical for 1 year and got a job at a large children's home as director of their fundraising. And I found out how much I did not know. The mentor I referred to a while ago, Jerry Patterson, was the guru of nonprofit fundraising. Wrote 2 of the best-selling books on fundraising. One made the New York Times. He mentored me in fundraising. I never want to be a fundraiser, like being a preacher. But I fell in love with fundraising. And that's what gave me the career path now that I'm on. Is he gave me that knowledge, he gave me the reputation, he took me under his wing, he gave me a name in fundraising. And I did that to become a university president.
Okay.
And I left, when I retired from the university, I went back in fundraising full time. So.
Well, so that was your passion. So that's really kind of one of your really, really good passions right there, fundraising.
It is, but it's not just the fundraising. Mm-hmm. It's something I'm good at. That I'm nationally recognized. I'm not bragging. But like I was saying before, getting a PhD and getting to be a university president was my passion. It was my obsession. Mm-hmm. When it became an obsession, particularly in the PhD, I lost family time. I lost opportunities because I was so focused on just that one thing. That's all that mattered. It even became, I think, looking back at it now, more important. The academics were almost more important than my faith. Mm-hmm. Obsessions, you cannot let it go from an obsession. It steals us from me. It's a devil's trap.
Yeah.
But the fundraising, the reason I say the fundraising part is not the part I do it for, my firm, we will only work for organizations that we will give our own money to.
Makes sense.
And we only work for places that need help. That's why we do it.
Okay. So what makes a person be nationally known as a good fundraiser?
Well, in my case, it was my mentor, Jerry Panis. Him being the guru, and every professional fundraiser would say that. And I literally sought him out when I found out that I did not know about as much about fundraising as I thought I did. I thought I got to find somebody. Everybody told me Jerry Panis was the guru. So I found out he was doing a seminar in Washington D.C. So, and I just bought his last book and I read it. I loved it. I went to the seminar. I thought he was going to be teaching. All he did was make an appearance. But he had his book. He said, I've got the new book. I'm going to stick around and come. Would like to buy one. I'll sign it if you'd like one too. Even though I already had the book at home, man, I got in line because I had this plan to meet him and get him to help me. His partner, who was head of the foundation at the University of Illinois, Bill Sullivan, I was standing with him talking. And we were talking. I said, I want to see if I can get time with Jerry and ask him if he can help me. Looked at me and was looking around. How many people did see this room? Close to 200. They're all thinking the same thing. Good luck. Yeah. I said, man, can you give me any tips? He goes, he goes, I see you have a cigar in your pocket. I said, yeah. He goes, Jerry loves cigars. So I went back to my room and I had a couple of Cuban cigars. So my plan is I'm going to get in the line to get, even though I had the book, I bought another one there. Get in line, have him sign it. When he's signing it, I'm going to give him a cigar and ask him if he'll have dinner with me that night, so I can, get some help. So anyway, I get up to him and he's signing my book. He doesn't even look up. He signed. I said, Mr. Panis, I'd love to treat you to dinner this evening if you talk. He says, I would love to do that, but I really can't do that. But call my secretary. As if I hadn't already done that, And I said, well, all right. And I said, well, I thought we'd enjoy these, but have this one on me. I had a cigar. He didn't look at it. He just took the cigar and thanked me for it. The rest of this I didn't see, but Bill Sullivan was watching. So as I started walking away, Jerry pulled the cigar. He put it halfway in his pocket. He put it back out, looked at the ring, and noticed it was Cuban. He looks for me, comes over, taps me on the back of the shoulder, and said, Sullivan's 7 o'clock.
That's cool.
So that, Jerry took me under his wing. He and his wife were the ones that started and chaired the Institute for Charitable Giving. At that time, there were only 2 places you could go to actually get a certification to call yourself a professional fundraiser. The Institute for Charitable Giving and the Little League School of Philanthropy. So the charitable giving was a big deal. You go through that, you get certified. It was kind of like workshops. You had to take 6 of them to get the certification. They were offered every year in different places all across the U.S. Jerry put me through that at no cost. And I went through it, got certified. When I got the certification, he offered me a job as one of the professors in the Institute. So I got to teach fundraising all over the United States for over 10 years. And so that gave me a reputation.
Absolutely.
And I just finished writing. I've written 3 books on fundraising.
Okay.
One of them just came out last year. And it was already endorsed with the Mastermind series from Donor Search. So that's got me a little bit of credibility as well.
I'm going to have to look into that. There's some things I want to do. I just don't know. First thing about fundraising.
Well, I'll be happy to coach you. Call my secretary.
I do like cigars. I tell people, smoking cigars was probably one of the best things that happened to me because my life changed. Not to say I didn't have purpose, but I was able to get around people to encourage me to pursue those things that I was pursuing. I would come up with an idea, and man, I think that's cool. Do it. You got to do it. So just like when I started smoking cigars and getting around people that really, had things going on, they encouraged me to pursue even podcast. I was doing podcasting before I started smoking cigars, but it's not until after I started smoking cigars where I really, really started to pursue doing podcasting and wanted to give it my all.
Yeah.
Last year I went to Orlando called Podfest, and that's where I really got the love for podcasting back. And I had to start doing some things to be better. And, I enjoy this, but like I still got other goals that I want to do, and things like that. But being around people, cigars, talking to people, that is really like did amazing things in my life.
There's some great cigar lounges in Orlando.
Mm-hmm. I've been to Corona.
Corona.
One of the Coronas.
Yeah. You had no idea, Dennis, how much money I have raised in cigar lounges.
Okay.
There was one client that I had in Omaha, and I was working a project with them for 5 years. And first year I was there, the bookkeeper that we had, he despised smoking. Mm-hmm. And when I turned in receipts from the donors, prospective donors, that I was doing in the cigar lounge, he called me in and he said, "We need to talk." He said, "I'm really concerned. You have any idea how much money you spent this year in the cigar lounge?" I said, "I would guess $10,000. Yes, you have spent $10,000 in cigar lounges. Do you really think that's appropriate?" And I said, "Well, let's talk about this after lunch." Mm-hmm. Okay. So during lunch, I went to my assistant and I said, "Would you pull up the list that we have that I've kept, the log we've kept on my expenses in these two cigar lounges?" Mm-hmm. And I ran my donor list on the computer real quick during lunch. So I sat down and we said, "Let's look at this. How much did I spend?" It was $10,000, a little over $10,000. So I pulled out the list of donors that I done that year, just in the cigar lounges, and how money we raised. So I had raised in that 1 year over $150,000.
Wow.
Now wait, more than half of those people also signed up for a 3-year pledge. So now triple half of that, and then do it again for the third year.
Yeah.
So we're looking at about $700,000 that I raised that would be coming in over the next 3 years. And I said, "Have you had anyone or heard of anyone that had put down $10,000 to raise almost $1 million?"
Yeah. Wow.
So, people that smoke cigars, typically, there are exceptions, and you know this.
Yeah.
But typically, they're friendly, they're generous, and they care about good causes. Mm-hmm. That's just something that seems to be, this. Because you walk into any cigar lounge, with very few exceptions, you walk into that cigar lounge and you're a perfect stranger, within 30 minutes, you're like that.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
You're right, because you go to different lounges, and that's why I like going to different lounges, because I see different people that I don't get to see on a regular basis. And, "What's going on, man? How you doing?" And I enjoy that. And that's the community, the cigar community itself is a great thing. Yeah. So it's like, even if I didn't smoke, if I wasn't allowed to smoke cigars again, I still would hang out in cigar lounge. Yes. It's an amazing place. It's amazing people. So, but I won't take up too much more of your time. I do appreciate you doing this, but I noticed that you're gonna be doing some traveling in the RV. I don't know if you started to do that already in your life.
So something we have wanted to do all of our married life, but we were never really in a position to do it until now. And if we didn't do it now, with our age, we may not be able to do it. So we sold the house.
Okay.
Bought a nice RV. And our plan was to take 1 year and just go. Not weekend stuff, but find a little place, small place, maybe a Hallmark movie type village, and go in and stay for, 1-3 months. Get involved in the community. Meet the people there. Eat their food. I mean, get to know them. Maybe go somewhere else for a couple of months. Go somewhere else. Mm-hmm. So we were planning, first of all, to go up to Ohio, spend a month maybe with my daughter and granddaughters up there. And then we're going to head down to somewhere in South Carolina, maybe close to the Charleston area. Then we're going to go down to the hill country of Texas and just where we wanted to go. Yeah. That was our plan. Mm-hmm. And lo and behold, because of this cigar lounge right here, the Coy Cigar Lounge, I picked up out of the blue a new client.
Okay.
And then just 2 nights ago, I picked up another client in this area.
Mhm.
Well, due to the project, I need to stick around fairly close to here for at least 6 to 8 weeks
Okay.
to get these projects up and running.
Mhm.
So we traveled a long way. We traveled from Chattanooga to Benton, Tennessee.
It's funny how like life works, and you know, you talk about church and God and things like that. I'm a believer of God, and I was a youth leader at one point in life and things like that. I love God, so it's like it's funny like our plans, and then when you really get the real plans,
Yeah.
it's it's rarely your plans. um, I think that's good, and that's one of the things about life that I enjoy, like the journey um, that that we are taking in life, and even to get to know some of your journey today is cool, and I very much have enjoyed this conversation and got to know some of your journey. Um, this is a cool journey. I'm glad I got this on tape so other people can hear the journey. Like, oh, this is cool.
Well, I think, when I think of my journey, I won't take long, but when I think of my journey, there are a couple of passages I try to carry with me. One of them, two of them from James. James, draw near to God, and He will draw near to you. Yes, sir. James 4:8. The other one is one that I was looking at this morning, out of James 1:17. Every good thing and every perfect gift comes from the Father above with lights. And so I think about that. And the other one's from Hebrews. Do not throw your confidence away. Of course, it's talking about confidence in God. Do not throw your confidence away. And whenever I leave a cigar lounge, you know what I say. Keep the faith.
Yes, sir. So, that's a big thing. Keep the faith. I like that a lot, and it's funny you say that because I started to pick up on it. Usually I'm in my own little world and I got my headphones in, so sometimes I don't hear it. But I started to hear that, and it's a big thing.
As you know, I'm not the charismatic type religion and faith. I'm not the praise God all the time. I'm not the brother but I try to preach that people without words.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm trying to do.
I heard that. Yes, sir.
I don't wear it on my sleeve.
Mm-hmm.
I try to wear it on my face.
I like that a lot. But I think I'm all out of questions for you right now. Like I said, I don't want to hold you up, and I know you're a busy man, and I definitely appreciate you taking the time out of your day to have a conversation with me and smoke a cigar. But before you leave, is there any last words you would like to say?
Yeah, I would. Like you said, you and I have not had time to just sit down like this and have a full conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Earlier, you asked me about being a preacher, and I've never brought that up. And you said you have that air about you. Lucas, I watched you at Scenic. I watched you here. I see what you wear in your face. You have more than an air about you. It's not a stink, but it is, as Paul wrote, an aroma to God. That's a sacrifice. And I've noticed that about you. And I notice how much people respect you. And I know that respect is always earned.
Yes, sir.
So I was looking very forward to this conversation.
Well, that means a lot to me, and I definitely appreciate those words. I was having a conversation about actually listening. Listening to people when they tell me things, or call me on my BS and say, and I was like, it helped me see myself in a different light, because I didn't always have that confidence or that self-esteem that I have now, but a lot of that is, listening to people that I trust and respect, and their compliments or how they see me. I've learned to see myself the way people see me, that I trust and respect, and that just went along with it.
Can I be selfish real quick?
Yes.
If there's anyone listening and you have a good cause that means something to you, if they need help with their money, raising money, like I say, we're not doing it for the money. I mean, we get paid, but we only help causes that we would give our own money to. If you work with children or faith-based, very significant discount. That's how we give back. Just park, like to play in a park bench that you sit on. Parkbenchfundraising.com.
And I will put that link in the description and everything too, so they will have that in there. Yes, sir.
Yeah, we work. I just finished a project a year ago. There was a 5-year campaign for $500 million.
Wow.
I'm working on one now that is a 3-year campaign to try to raise $2 million. And I'm going to tell you something. The one that's raising the $2 million, they need that $2 million a lot more than that organization needed the $500. So it doesn't matter what size the organization is. I mean, if you're needing help, that's why we're here. So.
Yes, sir. Appreciate that. I'll definitely put that in the link in the description. So anybody wants to do that, they can just click on it and be that.
Brother, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Now let me show you how we do that in Texas.
All right. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, I hope you guys have a good rest of your day. I hope you all enjoy the conversation. Yeah. So.
Guns up, Red Raiders.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.